You have thoughts that scare you, thoughts that arrive suddenly without invitation, thoughts about things you might do, things you might feel, or images that flash in your mind and feel completely wrong for the person you know yourself to be. Thoughts you have never told anyone. Thoughts that made you wonder, in a quiet moment, whether something was deeply wrong with you, whether the thought revealed something dark about your character, whether simply having the thought, even for a second, made you complicit in something terrible. If that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this clearly and gently. Those thoughts are not evidence that you are broken. They are not evidence that you are dangerous. They are not evidence of hidden desires or a secret dark side. They are evidence of a normal, healthy human mind that is working exactly as it should. I know how heavy this feels. I know the shame that comes with it. I know the fear that maybe you are the only one. You are not. And today, I'm going to walk with you, step by step, through exactly what is happening when those thoughts arrive. Why you have them. Why the people who are most horrified by their own thoughts are almost always the least likely to ever act on them. And the one gentle, hopeful truth that can finally bring you peace and freedom. We're going to take this slowly and kindly together. If anything feels heavy, just pause the video and breathe. You're safe here. I see you. I'm right here with you. Intrusive thoughts are not a symptom of a disturbed minority. They are a near universal feature of human mental experience. 93% of people across 6 continents reported having them. What varies is not whether the thoughts occur. What varies is the meaning we attach to them. And the meaning you attach, that the thought says something definitive about who you are, is what turns a normal mental event into deep shame and anxiety. But here is the thing most people who struggle with this never hear stated clearly. The people who are most distressed by their intrusive thoughts are almost never the people who are most at risk of acting on them. The relationship is, in fact, inverse. The distress about the thought is itself evidence of the gap between the thought and your genuine values. You cannot be horrified by a thought that you secretly want to act on. Horror is evidence of the opposite. Your horror is proof of how much you care. Let me give you the clinical description. An intrusive thought is an unwanted, involuntary thought, image, or urge that enters consciousness and causes distress. The keywords: unwanted, involuntary, distressing. Deliberate thoughts are initiated by you. Intrusive thoughts arrive independently of what you were intending to think about. Their content is typically experienced as alien to the self. The spontaneous generation of disturbing content is a feature of human cognition, not a malfunction. The brain generates thoughts across the full range of human possibility. And the thoughts that most conflict with your values are the ones that register most powerfully. Because conflict itself is the alarm signal. Your mind is not broken. It is protecting what you love. Here is the specific error in reasoning that maintains so much distress. It is called thought-action fusion. It has 2 forms. Probability thought-action fusion. The belief that having the thought increases the probability of the event occurring. Morality thought-action fusion. The belief that thinking something is morally equivalent to doing it. Both forms are cognitive errors. Having a thought does not increase the probability of the harm. Thinking something is not the same as doing it, desiring it, or intending it. But the belief that they are the same creates powerful distress. The thought arrives. The thought-action fusion converts it into evidence of something morally significant about you. The evidence generates shame. The shame generates anxiety. The anxiety increases vigilance toward the thought. And the increased vigilance makes the thought return more often. The distress about the thought is the mechanism that makes the thought more frequent. The shame is the maintenance mechanism, not the thought itself. And this is the specific, important thing that changes when you understand thought-action fusion. The distress is not the appropriate response to the thought's arrival. It is the response that the thought-action fusion error generates. The exit from the cycle is not the elimination of the thought. It is the interruption of the thought-action fusion. The separation of the thought's arrival from any conclusion about what the arrival means. You are allowed to have the thought without it meaning anything about who you are. The most intuitive response to an unwanted thought is to try to stop having it, to push it away, to refuse to think it. This response is documented to produce the opposite of the intended effect. The suppression attempt creates a specific maintenance cycle. The thought arrives. You try to suppress it. The suppression monitoring keeps the thought active. The evidence of failed suppression is interpreted as further evidence of something significant about you. The anxiety increases. The monitoring intensifies. The thought's frequency increases. The suppression is not the solution. It is a substantial part of the problem. Here is the profile of the person who experiences intrusive thoughts most intensely. The people who experience the most distress are not people with disturbed characters. They are people with the strongest moral commitments. The person who cares most about being good, kind, and non-harmful. Because the gap between the thought and their values is the largest. The person who is somewhat indifferent dismisses the thought easily. The person who cares deeply experiences it as an emergency. The distress is not evidence of moral failure. It is evidence of moral investment. And the intensity of the distress is directly proportional to the care. Your caring heart is not the problem. It is the reason the thoughts feel so loud. Here is what the intrusive thoughts are actually doing. The brain generates intrusive thoughts most frequently in domains that are most important to your values and self-concept. A person who deeply values their children's safety has intrusive harm thoughts about their children. A person who deeply values their faith has blasphemous intrusive thoughts. A person who deeply values their relationship has intrusive thoughts about its dissolution. The intrusive thought is the threat detection system's hypervigilance to the most important protected domains. It generates the scenario most threatening to what matters most. Not because you want the scenario to occur, but because the threat detection system is calibrated to the domain's importance. Your intrusive thoughts are pointing at what you love and asking, what is the worst thing that could happen here? The horror is the answer to that question. The answer is the evidence of the love. This is not a comfortable reframe. It does not resolve the distress immediately, but it changes what the distress tells you about yourself. It tells you that you are a person who cares deeply, and that is a beautiful thing. Here is the specific technique from acceptance and commitment therapy that addresses thought-action fusion at its source. It is called cognitive diffusion. Fused thought, I am a violent person. Diffused thought, I am having the thought that I am a violent person. The linguistic addition of I am having the thought that creates metacognitive distance. The thought is observed as a cognitive event, not as a self-description. The diffusion practice. Every time a significant intrusive thought arrives, gently say to yourself, I am noticing that my mind is generating the thought that this is not dismissal. It is not suppression. It is the placement of the thought in its appropriate category. A cognitive event produced by a mind, observed by a person who is distinct from both. You can practice this with kindness toward yourself. You are not fighting the thought. You are simply giving it its proper place. Research shows that diffusion reduces distress without reducing the frequency of the thoughts. The frequency reduction follows from the distress reduction. The thoughts become less urgent when they stop serving as evidence of moral crisis. The thoughts you are most ashamed of are not evidence of a broken mind. They are evidence of a mind that is working vigilantly at high sensitivity on behalf of the things that matter most to you. The vigilance is excessive. The thought-action fusion is a cognitive error. The shame is a maintenance mechanism for something that does not require maintenance. And you are not alone. 93% of people surveyed across 6 continents have thoughts in these categories. The loneliness of the thought is part of the shame cycle. The shame is what prevents the disclosure that would dissolve the loneliness. You deserve to be free from this shame. You deserve to know that your mind is not your enemy. It is trying to protect what you love. Subscribe. And if this video helped you feel even a little less alone, share it with someone who needs permission to stop being ashamed of something that is evidence of nothing other than their humanity. There is one more thing about the research on intrusive thoughts that I have not told you. Something about what happens to the frequency and intensity of intrusive thoughts when a person reaches a specific psychological state. A state that is not suppression, not positive thinking, and not achieved through the obvious routes. The research finding on this is both the most counterintuitive and the most practically useful thing in all of the intrusive thought literature. And it is the foundation of the most effective brief intervention for this experience that clinical psychology has produced. That finding is the beginning of the next video. Take care of that beautiful, caring heart of yours. It has carried enough shame. You are safe, you are good, and you are not alone.